Hello, everyone. We welcome you all to a very special episode of APAC Dialogue. It's a special program by us to bring to you inspiring stories of inspiring individuals who could bring about change in the society for good, be it in the field of uh, bureaucracy, they might be from the field of entrepreneurship, innovators, startup, or any other field of governance or in the field of arts and culture. Today, we are joined by a very special guest who is an administrative innovator, a senior bureaucrat of 1996 IS batch. He is also an activist by heart. Many might know him if they have followed the national social television series by the film star Amir Khan, that is Satyamev Jayate. He was well known, he was appreciated in the program for his passionate contribution for the solid waste management. At the same time, he is also being awarded by many accolades at the national level by the Prime Minister's Award. So please join me welcoming our special guest for today, Dr. B. Janardhan Reddy, who's the Secretary for the Agriculture Department. He's also the Commissioner for Agriculture Production from the state of Telangana. A very warm welcome to our APAC dialogue, sir.
Yeah, Swachh Namaskar, Sudhir.
Swachh Namaskar. This particular gesture itself indicates Dr. Janardhan's innovation, establishing instant connect and also sending a strong message towards the cleanliness. And he has played a very vital role towards the National Swachh Bharat Mission when he was the Commissioner GHMC and also the Commissioner and Director of Municipal Administration with the state of Telangana. Sir, glad to have you today. Would like to know how are you today?
No, today I'm extremely happy and I'm comfortable, Sudhir.
Thanks for joining us, sir. Um, First of all, we would like to know your initial humble background from where you come. If I'm not wrong, you had a very similar background like that of a most of the Indian citizen individual from the rural background. Can you please tell us where
Yeah,
do you hail
yeah,
from?
from absolutely rural background in a small village with 200 to 250 population, and it was a farming community. And my father was an ex-serviceman as well. So Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. I'm a son of both. So
Wonderful,
the
sir. That is how.
initial formative years, it had tremendous impact. My father telling about the army experiences in the undivided, India. He was working for British India, but the discipline and the sincerity, the way they are trained, and the hard work and all that, the places he visited, he used to tell us when we were children, and it had terrific impact on me. Then, of course, since he was also forming the problems involved in agriculture and the risks involved, and in those struggling days, how one would struggle and to have access to an education, etc. Then I studied in a Telugu medium school up to 10th class in Jilla Parishad High School, that is called, and that was the schooling. And later on, in intermediate, I did it at district headquarter. Later, my graduation and post graduation was in agriculture, Andhra Pradesh Agriculture University. So that was my education background.
Wonderful, sir. Which part of the state it was, sir, earlier?
It was part of very much Telangana near Hyderabad. It is Mahbub Nagar.
Oh, great, sir, great. Sir, before we would move on, the point of inspiration, how you wanted to join the civil services. What has been your educational background?
The inspiration point was when I was in ninth class. Usually, school leader for science fair. Science fair is conducted in every district every year. Many schools or all schools go there, and from my school I was selected as the leader. That gave me a big kick because generally from 10th class, that was the senior students will lead the contingent, but I was ninth. But still, I was chosen by the school administration, and I felt great that by overlooking 10th class, a ninth class student is chosen means they have seen some spark in me. And it always induces a lot of self confidence in you that without your effort, somebody has identified your spark and then they have identified you, chosen you as the school leader. And with such confidence, I attended that science fair. In that science fair, of course, we got prizes in quiz and many other competitions. And when I was taking the certificate of merit from the district collector, I on that day when I was in ninth class, of course, and I saw the aura and the dignity of that particular position and the reverence with which people were looking at the district collector. And we were all waiting for him and for his speech, etc. And I took a certificate from them. Then, on that day, I thought I should also become a district collector. So that was the first inspiration I got by seeing him.
Wonderful, sir. Sir, you have held many positions. Currently, you are holding the position of the secretary, the agriculture department. You're also the agriculture production commissioner, and you're also, if I'm not wrong, you're also the vice chancellor for certain universities in Telangana.
Yeah,
So,
I'm also vice chancellor for two universities, Kakatiya and Horticulture University in
oh,
Telangana.
great.
And earlier I was vice chancellor for Shatavahana University. Of course, for last almost 6 years, I have been either for one or the other in university. I have been a vice chancellor.
Great, sir. So you scaled up. You have held many positions. I have known you for over the years when you were the commissioner and director, municipal administration, where all the municipal corporation of Telangana were connected. Then you were given the very responsibility of the commissioner, Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation, which is one of the biggest municipal corporations of India. What is the one thing that keeps you driving and you always have a positive attitude and people get affected or influenced by that positiveness? So what keeps you going?
No, actually, power gives you a position to help many people. Without power, also you can help, but a few people. But if you have a power, you can help many people. So I always think for last 30 years, the power is given to you to help people. So as many people as possible, to influence as many people as possible, to influence as many employees as possible. So you should not hide your talent and the whatever time and opportunity is given to you, it should be fully utilized and to help people to add value in that minute, in that hour, that day, that week, that month, that year, whichever position. All positions will enable you to discharge your duties, number one, and also influence the people. So you can definitely, with that intention, if you go every day, you can add value to the work that you are doing or value to the lives of the people. So you can do that. That was always a guiding principle that it is possible to add some value and to make some changes in everything that you do. So the whole change may not be possible in one individual, but some change in millions of people it is possible by tweaking at the frameworks available and finding out some simplifications of the procedures, etc. Finding some ways to reach out to the people and so on and so forth. We can influence the lives of the people. So that was the guiding principle.
Wonderful, sir. Sir, if I'm not wrong, before you entered into the public service, career, you were also offered some corporate job, which could have fetched you uh, good a fat paycheck or a pay package. So, what is the one thing that made you choose the public services?
Yeah, you are right, Sudhir. In fact, I was also offered a bank job. I couldn't join. I was offered a job in the government, state government, but it was good. But the area of influence was really small. And then before joining the civil services, I was also offered a corporate job because I am a vet, and it was a technical consultant in a hatchery, where a good career was promised. But then I worked for 3 months, and daily I was introspecting whether what is the aim of my life. I am good at what? Whether I should be a partner in a business and earn money and money and money and spend my life and exhaust my life and end my life. So then I got an answer within 3 months that the business I am not fitting into myself, and I will not be happy throughout my life if I am in a business, but I will be happy if I can help people. So by to help maximum number of people, maximum number of times, what is the best way? So civil services is the best. So it offers you livelihood opportunities. Number one, you can live, and you can also help millions of people. So I took the decision and quit the job, and I resigned the job. And the managing director asked me whether by giving more perks and allowances, whether I would be retained. So then I said, let me try for 3 years this. So I am looking for a position where every day I'll be able to help people. And if I cannot get that job, I will not do any other job which is not connected with the people, where I will not be able to help the people. I'll again come back after 3 years. If you want to keep that slot open, I'll again come. But within that 3 years, I wrote the examination and I got third rank in the state of the then Andhra Pradesh, and I entered into civil services. And from that day to today, there was no looking back. And in fact, with so much of passion and dedication, I did in first to 10 years. Every year you will get around 42 CLs, casual leaves. First to 10 years, as against 420 casual leaves, I would have taken six casual leaves. So day, night, Sunday, Saturday, huge work. And the public administration, you can't change the entire world. But if you do, there is a lot of work. For example, in Karimnagar, where I was project director, so we were the state topper in implementing and perhaps the country topper integrated rural development program. So why country topper? Because every year there will be a target of 2,500 to 3,000 to you to help through bank linkage. But for last 10 years, there were pending cases. So in 1 year, with great difficulty and dedication, we could help 10,000 people. So no other counterpart in around 600 districts in the country. There would have been better project directors also, but they could have not done 10,000 grounding, or they could have not helped 10,000 people because you should also have an opportunity. There was a lot of pendency. So not only I achieved that year target, but I could also clear the arrears for last 5 6 years or whatever. So that's the reason why we could help some 10,000 people in one particular year. So there was such opportunity always, and with a lot of passion, dedication, and in fact we found out gaps and where we can diagnose the problems, and felt unfelt needs of the people were diagnosed, and then help was extended.
Yes, sir. Sir, you have held several positions. Your dream job was to be a district collector, which you have become. And above that, you have held many positions, commissioner and director, municipal administration. You have also held the portfolio of education, municipal corporation, and now you are in agriculture. So, what was that? The moment of extreme satisfaction that gives you in your job and in this role, which was that?
In In a way, Sudhir, very difficult to answer that question because it is not the one moment or one job which gives me kick. In fact, I believe that every day should be like a life. Morning to evening, it should be like a life. It should be fully exciting, and it should be purposeful, and it should be useful to somebody. So each day I consider is very significant in my life. I like that for last 30 years, every day, if I can recall and if I had a documentation, I would have told you each day what was the value addition or contribution to various issues. But unfortunately, I did not maintain that. But I cannot say that particular job, that particular job was more important and less important. But generally, whatever is sustainable, we always feel it is very important. So when I was way back in 2006 and 7, when I was working for Andhra Pradesh Urban Services for Poor, we conceived, I rather conceived a mission for elimination of poverty in municipal areas. So later on, and we explained to the government, and that has become a very sustainable model where we started with 10 crore, 15 crore bank linkage by building the civil society organizations called self-help groups in urban areas, where urban poor, where they would borrow 90 rupees in the morning and repay 100 rupees in the evening for small issues, like if they have to purchase vegetables and then they will sell in the evening and give back 100 rupees. So every day, 10 rupees they are paying as interest. Like 360 days, 3,600 rupees will be an interest. And for 100 rupees, they will have to pay 3,600 rupees interest if you calculate. So that is the life in many Asian countries and many of the slums in urban areas. So the mission, the MEPMA, which was conceived by me and then supported by the government, now more than 10,000 crore rupees they are able to access through various financial institutions, government banks, etc. So I think that was the not exact satisfaction on that day, but I think it is the biggest contribution. Any contribution you make, for example, 10,000 people I helped. I was the state topper or maybe country topper, but there is a feeling that that is not sustainable. One time you got an opportunity to help people, you have helped, and then later on we do not have an account of what happened to them, whether whatever I have helped, maybe 1 lakh, 2 lakh rupees with some subsidy, with bank loan, with price and training, etc. Whether we could make some impact in their lives or it was a one-time, one-shot help. The institution that we have created called MEPMA is an institution now. It's a framework and it has spread to entire country and many countries in the world also looking at it. So what is this framework that has been created and how it has been what when the urban poor without assets cannot even access 100 rupees. Even they don't dare open an account because for opening an account you require a person to introduce. So the servant maids or sweepers or beggars such type of low, in the sense, low class means low income groups. The low income groups they belong to, and they will not even dare to see the bank. And today, if they could access more than 10,000 crore rupees, 10,000 crores in both Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, it is the largest amount they have accessed. More than what they have accessed in rest of the municipalities in the country, they have accessed in these two states. Now it was single state, United Andhra Pradesh. Now later on, in 2014, it has been split into Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. But the United Andhra Pradesh, we have formed this mission. So I think now 10,000 crores, for example, if they borrow from outside the lending institutions, every year around 3,500 crores they will pay as interest itself. And since now they are accessing such financial assistance from the banks, so that much burden has come down from for them. So if they were earning 10,000 rupees, they will earn 12,000 rupees. If they were earning 5,000 rupees, they will earn 7,000 rupees per month. Simply since we have linked them to the financial institutions, and most of the financial institutions now for self-help groups offering at low rate of interest, number one, and whatever interest, if they are repaying on time, state and central governments are doing interest subvention. Almost the poor, urban poor, are getting the financial assistance without any interest burden. The one of the reasons for poverty in India for centuries together and bonded labor is spending money, borrowing money from private money lenders without knowing the implications of the burden of the interest, and then for that generation, next generation, generations together repaying the loan with interest, which they'll never do it. So that burden is taken off, and it was a torchbearer experience for rest of the country too. So if you say, if for creating one institution, if I derive a satisfaction, that was the one institution where by creating that institution, it is sustainable now, and a path is laid, and then everybody is watching and trying to imitate in other states and other countries also.
That's wonderful, sir. You are the longest serving commissioner of Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation so far. And you were able to introduce many initiatives that have been adapted by the government of India. You got much appreciation from across the country and also by the government of India. So, what do you think that was the change that you could bring in the Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation, and you still feel a lot needs to be
First
done?
thing, the principle of Swachhata was taken to every citizen. So, as far as awareness is concerned, yes, to 100%. Implementation, I cannot say I'm 100%, but for implementation, first step is awareness. So, we have created awareness about Swachhata in the minds of the students, youth, girl, women, servant maid, restaurant, hoteliers, employees, bureaucrats, everybody. To that extent, I think we were greatly successful. And merely this introduction of Swachh Namaskaram had created such an impact that each time you wish the other person, and you will be reminded of Swachhata to yourself, number one, and also you will be reminding others the need to be Swachh Bharati. And then when this Corona introduced now, including Trump, nobody is daring to shake hand, and they are only saying either Swachh Namaskar or what, Swachh Namaskar, but it was the oldest way of telling. So in the introduction of the twin bin system for dry and wet to each household, and then introducing a partition auto to bring dry and wet waste from each household, and decentralized management of the waste by having some in the sense mechanism to collect the dry waste, and then increase the incomes of the waste collectors, etc., and then uniting the families, dividing the waste as a big concept that has gone into the minds of the people. And then on greenery front, so many parks were developed, and in sports front, and lots of stadiums were developed, and lots of tournaments were conducted, and people were injected the spirit of sportiveness into them. Myself being a player continuously, I used to play badminton, and a sense of sportsmanship was injected into everybody. And then reform energy sector. The biggest reform was Hyderabad was the biggest city in the world, I think, to have converted itself into LED LED street lighting. Almost more than 4.5 lakh LED lights were introduced in the city. Even many of the Western countries and cities in Europe and US could not do by that time. And 4.5 lakh means every day 55% of the energy is saved now. More than 200 crore rupees have been saved, number one. And also, not only from the point of view of saving money, but energy saving will contribute a lot for reduction of the pollution also. So it was introduced very successfully in Hyderabad, and in every sector, people's participation was increased to simply to increase the number of toilets in the city. What was done in New York in around 1977, they made a law that every hotel and restaurant, it should be accessible to all the people if they want to use the washrooms or toilets free of cost. They made a law. We didn't made any law in Hyderabad, and but this system was introduced, and we convinced the hoteliers, and we increased the number of toilets to the citizens without spending a single rupee. And by asking assistance under corporate social responsibility, first time sheet toilets were introduced in Hyderabad, and lots of touristic places were made attractive by implementing the Swachh Bharat principles, etc. And one was community participation was very large, NGOs participation was very large, and then convergence was brought in city. If you have to widen the road, take out a cement pole, and take out a drain from somewhere. It involves multidisciplinary approach. The traffic police, the electricity department, water board, then municipality, revenue, land acquisition, etc. Therefore, the biggest thing that was done was we used to have a convergence meeting every month, first Saturday morning 8:30. Why convergence? Because nobody is powerful, nobody is egoistic. So yeah, all the departments have to work for the city. Number one, in the city administration today means convergence. Government means convergence. It is not the power. Not a single department can bring out a desired transformation in the city administration. So we introduced this 39 convergence meetings were held, and all the city heads, whether it is city police commissioner, Cyberabad police commissioner, or executive officer from cantonment board, and a liaison officer from the military, metro water board, metro railways, and all these departments used to participate. And the interdepartmental issues pending for sometimes a year, 2 years, 3 years, 1 decade, 2 decades were also brought to the surface. Number one, and they were sorted out in a friendly manner. Number two, and this convergence meeting every month it will not be held in Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation alone. So we will, by a draw of lottery, we will decide where this meeting will be held. Why? This is very simple non-financial administrative trick or strategy to bring convergence, because police commissioner could be senior, GHMC commissioner junior, or metro director could be senior, or railway GM could be junior. So no seniority, no juniority. Every month there will be an opportunity for each department to host a meeting, and in that huge brotherhood, and we're all working for the city concept was injected into the departments first, and also into the minds of the officers too. And since we were all exhibiting this convergent concept, and it has also percolated to down to the ground level. And whenever there was some problem, and one problem with water board, a problem with metro rail, problem with traffic police, it was all done. And I also see a lot of future with convergence city administration works. A lot of problems can be sorted out instantaneously. Number one, delay could be avoided in writing and all that. Number two, and number three, conflicts will lead to a lot of legal problems in the city administration. So
Yeah.
citizens will suffer, and nobody knows why things are not happening. And if there is a convergence, so many things can happen. And for the first time, I think in the country, for such a large city like Hyderabad, huge like 10 million or tons of garbage was lying deposited for last more than a decade or so. An effort was made to cap this. So the advantage is in Western countries like Germany and New York also. This was attempted. One, you can make use of that land for solar energy or wind energy. Two, the entire ecosystem up to 5-10 kilometers from that area, the land can be used for either residential or for IT purpose. Otherwise, up to 10 kilometers, 15 kilometers from the epicenter of this garbage, the entire land was put to not to use, not to profitable use, not to residential use, etc. So it has been brought into use. And then we have also initiated, now it is already fructified, the waste to energy. And also, for example, for the first time, a city compost was also prepared. In solid waste management front, there was no stone which was unturned. And in fact, we also got award from Government of India for best solid waste management managed city among the bigger cities in India. And then from financial health point of view, increasing the robustness of the city's health, financial health. Hyderabad was the second or the third city in the country to go for bonds, and we could generate around 1,000 crore rupees from the markets. It's the biggest thing. We have around 7,000 and odd municipalities in the country, and no municipality can ever venture to go into the private sector and then generate bonds for itself, because you need to go for auditing, and you need to get very good rating, and you should convince the investors that you are capable of repaying and all that. So this was done. So after Pune, which stopped at 200 crores, and Hyderabad could go beyond that in two in five trenches, around 5,000 crore rupees. And in fact, an incentive of 26 crore rupees was given by the Prime Minister of India to the city, and I received it in one of the conferences. So it will go a long, long way. So
Yeah.
there was no sector where reform was not introduced. And then urban poverty sector again, since I had the background of uh, conceiving the idea of MEPMA, Hyderabad too, with 1 crore population, around 20 25 lakh population was living in urban slums. So there was a lot of financial inclusion. And then street vendors were surveyed, identified, identity cards were given, and then zones were established where they can have their vending activity without any problem from city police or from municipality or from any other authorities, etc. And where they can do in certain areas, certain timings only, where they cannot do. So that particular activity is ongoing activity, still not completed, but it has to be done. So that is there. So, like that, take any particular sector if you ask, I can further elaborate. And we did not leave any sector untouched.
Wonderful, sir. Sir, one question that has cropped up. You could bring a lot of inclusiveness among the citizens of Hyderabad. Very recently, there was an instance where uh, Hyderabad was ranked one of the best city to live and also to work nationally. But very soon, after 2 days, when it rained heavily, several parts of Hyderabad were inundated with the rainwater. Um, the government of Telangana is also working towards making Hyderabad a global city. So, if you can tell us briefly what was is to be done.
I don't think any global city is also immune from such natural vagaries like floods or fires. Even California and all that, you would have seen the fire recently, and Hyderabad is no exception. But in Asia, and especially in India, if you have to bring any city to such level where it can withstand huge rain, for example, 2 centimeters of rain per hour, that drainage system can withstand. If there is 20 centimeters per hour, naturally 10 times robust infrastructure has to be built. So whether we can spend so much of money on infrastructure, whether we can give that much comfort, depends on the financial status of that particular municipality and the state. It is simply that. Otherwise, in normal times, it is the best city. But in abnormal times, come abnormally only. They are not the normal routine. But we have to also rise up to such occasions where there is a fire, where there is an earthquake, where there is a natural disaster, etc. But whenever disasters happen, and there is much more to be done, not only in Hyderabad, in the entire country.
Yes, sir, you're absolutely right. It has something to do with Hyderabad not being a planned city, and the newer parts of the city which are planned now have the better way of dealing with such uh, emergencies or the disaster.
Yeah, always cities are growing indiscriminately or haphazardly, and partly it is planned, partly it is not planned, and then retrofitting activities have to be taken up. Town planning is a very big subject, especially in slum. Then people say slums sources of infection, and the place where it is very indecent, inhuman type of living conditions and all that. And we attempted, and for which I got the Prime Minister's Award also in Hyderabad. Like Mumbai, Calcutta, Bangalore, Delhi, everywhere we have the slums. So only one way of we can't eradicate slum dwellers. We have to eradicate the slums. So we can't create the space. The land is limited, space is limited. Within the limited space, lots of slums are created, and people are occupying unequal extents of lands, range as small as a bathroom or toilet, like 4 square meters, 3 square meter, 5 square meter, etc. It's very very difficult to imagine to live in such conditions. The only way is land pooling and then grow vertically. So at least in 39 slums in Hyderabad, we were able to convince. Prior to that, it took 7 years to convince one slum dweller to come together and pool the land and then grow vertically. They didn't agree. But in one year, when I was HMC commissioner, and we could convince the people, slum dwellers, by adopting various time-tested, known, and innovative by using innovative extension methodology, we could convince the slum dwellers and demonstrate to the world that it is possible to eradicate slums, not slum dwellers, and improve the working condition of the living condition of the slums. So those who were living in less than 100 square feet, etc., 150 square feet, etc., once the flats are built, when by doing land pooling, 2 BHK in 39 such slums it was taken up, and all of them are ready now to live in a dignified manner, getting very good ventilation, drainage, and having some parking space, and climbing up through lift and some mechanism to get money for managing these common features like lift, etc. I think it was also a trend setting and path breaking for the rest of the cities in the country, and also for Hyderabad also in future. Instead of going for far away places, it's always wise if we can convince the people to come together and then join the land pooling, and then grow vertically. So their livelihood activities will continue, and their emotional bondages are not broken. They are in the mainstream of the city for education and livelihood issues, etc. It's the biggest lesson for the city and also for the country. And there is no other way. We cannot actually live without them also. Slum dwellers are also required, and businessmen also is required for the city. We have to coexist and coexist happily. So that's
Yeah,
what one of the
you're
very spectacular achievements.
yeah, you're absolutely right, sir. And one of your contribution for poverty alleviation and MIPMA has done a lot in this field, and lot can be. There are many slum dwellers across the country where these ideas can be taken up. Sir, I have personally worked with you and associated with you in many of the projects. I have seen you working right from the morning, even when you travel from one place to the office. You are constantly working. And even when you are there in certain conferences, you are always there on your laptop or the iPad, uh, disposing of the files. And you are well known for disposing of files within 24 hours. Can you briefly tell us about that?
In fact, one of the reasons why I am in the service is I wrote an essay in the competitive examination on the bureaucracy, red tapeism, and associated problems, etc., that people face with. The day I joined in 1990 December, I decided that this act now principle, do it now principle, will propel me. कल का काम आज करो, आज का काम अब करो. Do it now. If something can be done, now you do it. I don't procrastinate it. And I have been practicing it last for 30 years. That every day I will clear off the lost file and go to bed. And fortunately, I was never sick, and I was able to do it. And if entire bureaucracy, whether taking from clerk to collector, if they also inject into themselves this habit of do it now, and bureaucracy's image will go up multifold, number one, and people's sufferings will come down to a greater extent, number two. So that's why this act now principle is a very, very Stephen Covey suggests. And long back I read his book, but before reading his book, in fact, it was there in my blood. So from that day onwards, whatever is possible, whether any technology useful. For example, we were practicing e-office in GHMC.
Yeah.
So out of 11 lakh files in 2018 that were circulated through e-office in the country, more than 2 lakh were from GHMC in the country itself.
Yeah.
So while traveling, while waiting in the airport, even when I had to take Prime Minister's award in Vigyan Bhavan, for 2 days there was a trial. What to do? Then GHMC will get hundreds of files each day.
Yeah.
So I remember and recall, I was sitting in Vigyan Bhavan the day when we took award at 4 o'clock. Morning 10:30 only we were called to Vigyan Bhavan, and a sort of house arrest because trials and all that they will do. So
Yeah.
so from morning 10:30 to 3:45, I could dispose of hundreds of files. So the technology also helps you. If you have an intention, first thing every day you can clear. It is like garbage. If you clear every day, it will be useful somewhere else also. Wet garbage also will be useful. Dry garbage you can sell it, recycle it. And if you keep it for a day, then it become filth. And third day it will not be useful. So that's why food, fine. Food also very good biryani made up with 42 items, spices, etc. will be very nice if you eat it hot. And next day you can't eat it. Third day you will get vomiting. Fourth day you get food poisoning.
A
So
very
food,
good analogy, sir.
food, file, and dead body have to be disposed of. So when
Immediately.
even if you are a Bharat Ratna, when you die, dead body cannot sit for more than 24 hours or so.
Yeah.
And a file also, if it is there fresh, if you dispose it off, it will be useful to the people. And if you keep it pending, it will cause a lot of doubts, suspicions in the minds of the people. Number one, intermediaries and brokers will enter. Number two, there will be then people will the exchange of money will be there. Number two. So whenever a file strikes you, like missile, if a file comes and file goes, no suspicion on you. Number one, there is no vested interest, and in any case, that file has to be seen by you only tomorrow. Instead of tomorrow, why don't you see today? Instead of today, why don't you see now? So that is the principle. In fact, GDP can grow because a lot of longer projects they wait for the approval of bureaucracy for various reasons. You can't find fault with anyone, but the sense of urgency is not there. And technology also they are not using, and lots of vested interests also will be there, various reasons. So to demonstrate that it is possible to dispose of the files every day, whether I was director, whether I was commissioner, whether I was GHMC commissioner, HMD, whatever, managing director, or whether I was holding at one point of time 9 posts simultaneously, which were headed by 9 different IAS officers at one point of time. I was in charge for 7 months when Telangana was formed. Then also people asked me whether are you able to dispose of all the files within 24 hours. So unfortunately, one should not take the huge burden, but sometimes burden is given to you by the government. You will not take it. So then I thought myself that my principle of disposal will be broken. But somehow I got back pain, I got neck pain. But still, I had to stick to my principle of disposal of the files on the same day, and it was much more easier when I came to GHMC. That the e-office we were running number one. That's why at night, whether it is 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, lost file on the bed, I will lie down. My computer will be on my chest, and then clear the lost file and go to bed. So it is possible. 30 years I have been practicing. Until my retirement also I will do this. And I tell this to students, to employees, to businessmen, everybody. कल का काम आज करो, आज का काम अब करो. It will not harm anybody. In the haste, sometimes one or two mistakes may happen, but still it's okay. With good intention, better make mistakes than standing at the crossroads. Choose a path. So
Wonderful,
that's
sir.
what I was practicing.
I I still visit. Have visited before the lockdown. I still visit Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation, and your sense of inspiration to your colleagues, your fellow officers, your juniors, right from those at the C grade and the D grade employees. They are left inspired and they still use that the gesture of Swachh Namaskar. And there is also a sticker left there, act now. And many of them take inspiration now. Sir, you have been workaholic, uh, uh, but at the same time, there is also something called personal life. So this is a long debate how to balance the personal and professional life. So there might be some instances where you felt I could not give enough time to my family members or do justice. Was there any instance you would like to share with us?
Of course, now I am feeling after 30 years of service. But till 25, 25, 26 years of service, I never felt because I thought whatever department I was dealing with, district or state, that was my family. And naturally, more than my I feeling, my family members definitely feeling have felt. So that nothing like balancing. It's very my wife often says you should have not married. You should have remained bachelor, so that you would have given 100% of your time to the society. So people like you, why should you marry if you can't give time to the family? So that is one trick of getting my attention. So when she says so, sometimes okay, I will talk, I will WhatsApp, I will be on WhatsApp, I will pay some attention, I will go to some movie with them, and I will go to some place. Whenever I visit abroad, I will also take her. So these are all the things, but definitely balancing, I cannot say. 6 to 7 hours you will sleep, and remaining 1 2 hours in our badminton and this and that. 7 plus 2 9 hours, and then if you have from 15 more hours, so 14 to 15 hours always I used to spend with the office. But then Jaggi was there. Somebody asked, "What is the best way of getting relaxation from the work?" He says, "If you treat work as relaxation, there is no other way of getting relaxation." So I believe every day one should have work, and work which gives you satisfaction, a purposeful work. Number one. Number two, you should be able to sweat out, and also, of course, you have an obligation to the family members and friends, etc. I used to pay attention, but the time point of view, I was not paying as much time. I do not know. There is no definition of balance. How many hours you have to work when you are a public servant or NGO to your family, and how many works you have to. But it never happens when you are a top bureaucrat. It is very, very, very difficult and impossible to only work for 8 hours because there is a lot of work. You can restrict if it is only like. The work entrusted to you, you can always do it in 8 hours. But since there will be unlimited work, limiting is very difficult. So many a time we don't feel like giving equal time to the family and the work. So if you say paid attention to my family also, but not to the required level, but I paid attention. I can say.
So it is basically the family members who had to adjust to your passion, your workaholic nature. Um, so, sir, could you give any? You have been a source of inspiration for many to your children. You have a daughter and a son, right? If I'm not
Yes,
wrong.
yes.
So, what is the best thing you could inspire them with? If you can tell
No,
us.
I think better if you ask them, it is better. So it is like self-congratulating myself, I cannot say. But always, generally, you will be influenced by your family members. You will be influenced by your bosses. You will be also influenced by your subordinates. If there is a beautiful workaholic subordinate, that will also inspire you. In my office, I have a retired bureaucrat with 79 years old. He comes first,
Okay.
goes last, and
Okay.
he is untiring always. And he is inspirational to me every day when I go to my office. And entrust a job to him, give a outline, and within that time period, he will come up with a draft. So we cannot say, but in what way I have inspired my children or family members. But I do get inspiration from all good-meaning people. So let noble thoughts come from all the directions. For example, my father, he was a from the military background. So
Yeah.
lots of things somehow I imbibed during my childhood. My mother, and very very simple and humble. Even today, she never asks when she comes to Hyderabad. She prefers. She used to go by auto or private vehicles, etc. So that simplicity I learned from my mother, and be satisfied with whatever we have. But don't be too much of greedy. So, but she was illiterate rather, and then she had influence. And every day I remember my father because of the sacrificing nature and the discipline and then hard work that he used to do. So I do not know what traits and people, especially your family members, imbibe from you, uh, but definitely not to make somebody like imbibe your qualities. You live, so you live your life, and in the process, when you are traveling in the family, in the office, and if you leave some footprints, and also footprints last for some time, long time to name that it is difficult to keep a long time footprint anywhere. But if somebody likes certain things, if they also practice it, we feel good. Like I said, MEPMA is a sustainable framework
Yes.
that I created,
Yes.
and it is giving fruits. So some schemes,
Wonderful, sir.
some programs.
Yeah, wonderful, sir. Sir, you are also a sports person. Those who are close to you might know, but many do not know. You are a very good badminton player. Now you might be you have a regular exercise of playing badminton close to an hour, if I'm not wrong. Uh, uh, you can tell us like how it helped. How does it help in your daily activity?
Yeah, last 25 years, I think Corona broke my rhythm. I was never sick for a day full. So that's why almost there was no break for my badminton. So since this Corona entered, people said lockdown. Even your sports stadium, it is locked down. Under lockdown, so we couldn't go social game. And I think that's what I said. Now, life means every day is your day's life cycle. Like their cycle also should reflect your own life. It should be like a life every day. So morning or evening, whenever you have a time, play for 1 hour. It is not waste of time. It basically it gives you a lot of inspiration, enough for the rest of 24 hours. You can work well and you can sleep well, and a lot of good hormones, I suppose, are released when you play, and especially with a group. Doing alone yoga or doing alone some exercise also good, sweats out. But you also play and you lose and win and cajole people, laugh at people, and enter into dialogue at people. You were witness. So whenever you wanted to meet me, the definite place was sports stadium. So all other
Yes.
places you had to wait for hours and hours. Sometimes it was not possible. So the definite
Yes.
place was the when you come to the sports place, you were meeting me and you were watching me play and all that. So that means
Yes.
you will enjoy life at least for 1 hour every day if you play.
Yeah.
So it
Yes.
need not be a costly play. Whatever is possible for whomever, they should play. I suggest life should be playful, and it should be joyous, joyful also, and everybody should develop an habit to play for an hour a day. So it was really the driving force for me to live very happy life for all these years. For last 4 5 months after this Corona, sometimes I am undergoing some sort of low feelings. You can say depression. Then I verified and analyzed why. Because this kick is not coming every day. Whether you achieve something or not, but when you play, you feel that you have achieved something every day. The day is as fresh as rose. So therefore, to keep every day as fresh as rose, and whether you are a student, whether you are a professor, whether you are a doctor, whether you are a counselor, whether you are a bureaucrat, don't say that you are busy. Your effectiveness will increase, your purposeness of the life will increase, and your productivity will increase, and one has to play, and I have been playing. So
Wonderful,
I
sir. So there's a strong message that the body needs to be treated as a temple, which will enable you to do many things. Sir, one message from you for those who want to be part of the public service or a civil servant. um, and impact lives. What is that one message you would like to give them?
Have unconditional love to the people's welfare. If you are trying to conditionally love, you will suffer. You will not contribute as much as you can contribute. Number one. If one word you have to ask me, that is the only one thing. Otherwise, don't enter. If you expect something more than that, power, prestige, image, and earning of money, earning of name, and all those things, you will be doing injustice to yourself and injustice to the society. So people are born, some people are like extroverts, and if they are truly extroverts and truly interested in welfare of others, I cannot say all people are in welfare. They want to live for themselves. For example, American society first believes most of them, okay, yeah, we don't help others, help yourself. Self help is the best help. If everybody is helping themselves, the nation will prosper. So that is one type of theory. So if you are fitting into that theory, don't come. Even if you have the highest IQ in the world, IQ alone is not enough. Intelligent quotient is not enough. It may be enough to enter the service, but you will not do 100% justice and you will not be fully useful to the society unless you love the people unconditionally, irrespective of the caste, creed, and region and religion. Like Rabindranath Tagore told, even if Britisher becomes the Prime Minister of India, since he was born in British, I would not hate him. But because they are exploiting being British, I will hate him, but international brotherhood. So that sort of mentality is there. Then the one should enter civil service and expecting something. If you enter, then you will not
So,
enjoy.
so it is basically with the basic idea, one should come with the compassion towards doing good to the citizens of the country uh, of or your respective area. So, sir,
Yeah, not only first year, second year, throughout your year, it will be full of challenges and it will be full of opportunities. There will be a lot of interferences and many a time, and you feel like flee away from the situation. So, but still, there are lots of scope, lots of opportunities. For example, when I was in education secretary, I had single agenda. I spoke this in National Education Policy draft meeting also when it was convened by the government of India, and also there was in London there was World Education Summit was held last January, and where also I told one particular point which did not attract the attention of the policymakers in our country, also in the entire world, that the poor people, the people from slum dwellers, people from weaker sections also have equal IQ. Intelligent quotient is not less, but many of them are not able to come up in their lives because they are not able to attend the schools and colleges regularly. Improve their attendance. Amartya Sen said, on any given day in India, 25% of the students are absent. And if their absenteeism right from day one, LKG to PG, if it can be reduced, they will also will be able to compete with any top English medium or any other medium studying student in the world. So, but because they are very irregular, even with a good IQ, if you are irregular to the school, so you will not be able to compete and you will not be able to learn on par with others. So that was one non-financial intervention. When I joined, it was around 70% attendance. When I left, it was around 79%. Very difficult to improve or increase beyond 79, 80, 81, 82 because many of the cultural problems. So I thought in education system, no politician will come in your way, and no civil service organizations or anybody will come in your way. If we can increase the simply attendance by sensitizing the civil society, by sensitizing the students, and by incentivizing the attendance, etc. So you will also contribute a lot. Governments can give the computers, government can give the school buildings, government can give the uniform, government can give the food, etc. But coming regularly to school is dependent on you and the parents. So one that particular gap I found when I was education secretary, and I felt bad because this is off done or it's only started. I wanted to be there for 3 years and try to prove. that those who are regular to the schools and colleges, irrespective of their financial background or religious background or the caste background, they will also will be able to compete with the students, those who are studying in very big schools, so-called big schools, etc.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your life experiences, your deep insights, your analytical thinking. You have always been an inspiring personality. I keep learning from you. Thank you very much, and thank you everyone who would be watching this the special APAC dialogue, bringing to you this inspiring stories from the inspiring individuals who could bring about the change in the society through their hard work, through their innovation for the welfare and good of the society. With this, I would take leave. We would be joining with the next episode with yet another inspiring personality before you in your favorite APAC dialogue. Thank you.